Hey, this is Steve Brown from Rushfest Scotland, and you're listening to Two Guys Talking Rush.
Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys.
And now, get ready for the Two Guys Talking Rush podcast with your hosts, John Kane and Dan Buxton.
Hey folks, my name's John Kane, and this is the delightful Dan Buxton, and welcome to episode 25 of the Two Guys Talking Rush podcast. Again, Happy New Year. And this is not Two Guys Talking Vanilla Ice, folks. It's Two Guys Talking the incredibly iconic Rush. So listen in and discover the best damn Rush podcast in the entire Solar Federation. Two Guys Talking Rush. Dan Buxton, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you very much for asking. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
We're recording, typically we record on Fridays in the afternoon, and it's now Sunday morning, so maybe we're a little foggy this morning, but
I'm pounding coffee. So
you're pulling it back, huh?
I'll get interesting in about 15 minutes.
I love coffee, don't you? I'm sipping my coffee right now.
I can't survive without it. So I could give up every vice, and coffee is it's not happening.
How many cups a day do you think you're pulling back? You got pots going around the clock?
I got pots going around the clock, especially when my wife is working from home.
Yeah.
As she was doing for the last 2 weeks. She's a teacher.
Yeah.
And so, the school had to be closed so everyone could do 2 weeks of quarantine before everyone comes back. And for her and for me, it's just like, just keep it going.
Yeah.
We'll stop when we stop.
That's hilarious. Going back to what I said in the opening, nothing against Vanilla Ice. Actually, I think he's a nice guy, and I think he got a bad rap,
Nice pun intended, I guess.
Anyway, folks, we're here. We're at another milestone episode. Whoever thought that a couple of schleps from whereversville would have made it this far from their parents' basement? Anyway, what are your thoughts on episode 25, Dan? What are you thinking so far? How are we doing?
We're doing great. Every show that we do is fantastic, and we're really a model, I think, for other podcasts to follow, because the spotlight follows us, not the other way around.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost convinced me that this...
Almost. Yeah. I'm really good at getting 90% of the way there.
Well, remember, folks, this show is hosted by fans for fans. We are Rush, true Rush fans, and our listeners know that we are inclusive. We want everybody involved. Each week we try and mix it up with guests and content, and we want fans to join us also on this magnificent journey. Before I forget, I want to thank our guests on episode 23 and episode 24, episodes 23 and 24. We had legendary sound designer Howard Ungerleider, not Ungerleader, which we recorded the episode in portions, and I had his name wrong, and I want to apologize to Howard. I asked him in the interview, how often do people get your name wrong? He said all the time.
100% of the time.
I know. So
I thought it was Ungerleader. Also.
I know. Ungerleider, not Ungerleader. Yeah. Well, anyway, Howard Hearns Ungerleider. The story goes that in the summer of '74, he was sent to Canada by his company, ATI, American Talent International, to help a new band as they were starting touring regularly, and that band was Rush. And ever since, he played a crucial role in the success of their tours, in particular light design and production for almost 40 years. So another shout out to the mighty Howard Ungerleider, the man who lit Rush. We were so privileged to have him on the show.
Right on.
Yeah, totally. And I want to go back to our holiday show because we had returning guest Brett Carpenter, Rush monitor engineer, and his partner in crime, Libby Gray from the Styx family, where they chatted about Rush and their involvement with a new cookbook called Pieces of Eight. Even though it's not the holiday season, it's still available for purchase. Again, the Styx crew, as they say, is proud to announce that they finished working on a cookbook called Pieces of Eight. You can order it on styxworld.com. That's STYX world.com. All proceeds will go directly to Styx crew and their families. It's a cookbook filled with about 75 pages of hand-picked recipes from all the folks that are part of that Styx family. So definitely please buy that cookbook. They really need the support, and as you know, COVID has left a huge crater in the event world. I was thinking just yesterday how I miss just going just to see a local performance. It doesn't, not even an arena performance, just a little live music always kind of lubricates things, right? A couple of drinks.
It does.
Yeah, totally. So again, please support. There are many organizations out there that are like Crew Nation and others. One in particular, Brad Maddox mentioned. Brad is front of house for Rush, or was front of house for Rush and many other bands, which is called sweetrelief.org. This will help thousands in the music industry who've been affected by COVID-19. The Sweet Relief Musicians Fund provides financial assistance to all types of career musicians and music industry workers who are struggling to make ends meet while facing illness, disability, or age-related problems. In other words, healing musicians in need. So please support sweetrelief.org. Again, sweetrelief.org. So, we're going to talk a little bit today about Rush cover songs, and we've done that. We've spotted that throughout the whole series of episodes we've done. Here and there we'll listen to a cover. We've had artists on the show that have done cover songs, and today we have a very special guest. And we'll get into that guest. I'll reveal who that is a little later. But Dan, who if we were thinking in terms of cover songs, don't reveal what your favorite cover song is of Rush. But what is your take on cover songs in general? Do you think it's some of them are done well, some of them are not done so well. In regards to Rush, how do you even attempt?
It depends, I think, because I've heard some artists do really interesting things with cover material. I've heard artists do absolutely 100% faithful renditions of the song. And honestly, it depends on the band and it depends on the song. There are some bands, if you're doing a Black Sabbath cover, you don't want to take too many liberties with it. You want to just, pound on that riff and, basically do what they're doing. Rush is different. One thing that I found, just when you hear bands trying to cover them, doing exactly faithful interpretations of these songs seems not to work a lot of the time. Something has to be different. I really like the covers that people have done where it's just a solo instrument or something like that, because you don't really get to hear the songs that way. It's this kind of exploded view of the songs. But it's all approaches are valid. But when I hear them going note for note exactly the same thing, I kind of wonder why do you bother? Yeah, what's the point exactly?
Yeah. So, what do you think the best covers? Not just aside from Rush, what do you think the best cover song is out there? You're a musicologist, you're a popular music historian. If you were to kind of say, all right, if you were to pick one, I know what mine is, but go ahead.
God, that's tough. I would say not just because a lot of people have been talking about them lately, but I found that Bee Gees songs lend themselves really well to interpretation by all different kinds of artists, to the point where you'll hear a song and you'll just assume it's by the other artist, and you won't find out until much later that it's actually a Bee Gees song. But I love Typo Negative's version of Paranoid. I thought you were
going to say Cinnamon Girl.
No, have you heard his Paranoid?
I have, yeah.
That's some crazy, that's craziness right there.
Definitely.
And also their cover of the song Black Sabbath is brilliant, I think.
Matrix Slow.
Extremely, yeah. And I remember reading an interview with Peter Steele where he was saying like the whole point was that they wanted to be the absolute last song on the tribute album that it's on. Like everyone wants to be first, and they always wanted to be last.
Yep.
You know, so it's on brand. But no, those are fantastic, actually.
Well,
and
you and I are both heavy Typo Negative fans, and
major, yeah.
I mean, I met my wife at a Typo Negative show.
Wow.
I think I told you that, but I think it might have been on the World Coming Down tour. Well, how appropriate.
Yeah.
But no, we met at a Typo Negative show, and of course, Alice was born, so I owe Peter Steele that little bit there. I wouldn't have Alice if I didn't meet my wife, my daughter Alice. But Typo Negative, they would celebrate certain songs. I remember seeing them live, and they would play Pink Floyd riffs from Pink Floyd. So they're always doing that. Yeah, that's a good point. Typo were a great band that always kind of sampled and covered various versions. Of course, famously Cinnamon Girl, where Neil Young said it was the worst version of his song that he ever heard, which
yes.
And I love
Victory.
It. I know, right?
Did he seem like mad about it, or like did he think it was funny? Or
I mean, listen, he's making money off of it, so I don't think he rejected it. But I think that was what he said. He said that was the worst version. Wow. And
I could take him to some campfires that I've been to, and that there are much worse versions of Neil Young songs out there.
Yeah, but I think that probably made the guys in Typo Negative smile.
Yes,
when they said the worst, perfect. You know,
we're number whatever the last number is.
Totally. My pick for the best, and I didn't prepare you for this, but I think my pick for the best cover song ever done. And of course, this artist had been covered many times in a way where so many of his songs were better than his original versions. Of course, I'm talking about Bob Dylan. The Byrds, I think the Byrds made a lot of his music much better. But definitely All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix, I just think it's one of those songs. I don't know how big of a Hendrix fan you are.
He's like top 3 for me, probably.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So just a phenomenon, and just, one of those kind of Renaissance players in music history. But the version of All Along the Watchtower, obviously it sounds nothing like the original by Bob Dylan. And it's so much better than Bob Dylan's version. And every time I hear it, I never get sick of it. And I get goosebumps every time I hear it. It's just so miraculous. I love the recording of that.
He really made it his own.
Did.
I mean, if you're going to cover a song, I really feel like, okay, plant your flag, make this your own.
Yeah.
And he sure made it his own. That's for sure. Yeah.
I love it so much.
And like the older I get and the more I hear what the original was like, the more I really appreciate how creative it is. And, there are just a lot of things in it that, even the way the beat comes in at the beginning, and everything about it is,
it's so like up,
comes at you from
man,
all the different places,
and it feels like the 1960s. It feels like the turmoil and the era, So I just
that song and "Sunshine of Your Love."
Oh yeah,
I think are probably like the two songs that are the most used to accompany newsreel footage of like riots in 1968.
I know.
Like those are the two songs.
The cliche soundtrack. Yeah, totally.
Maybe "Gimme Shelter" by the Rolling Stones.
Oh yeah. But still great. Still great.
Yeah,
tunes.
absolutely.
Yeah. Totally. Well, anyway, we're going to get into more of sort of cover songs, and as it relates to our guest a little later. I'm not going to reveal who the guest is. Save the best for last. But anyway, some show plugs. As a reminder, you can hear our podcast on TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Simplecast, and others. The show is recorded in video, so you can check out our YouTube channel. Please do that and click subscribe so you can see our beautiful faces and what we're wearing for the show. Because we're fashionistas, and I dress up specifically for the podcast. So, I like to wear my best fashion.
Hey, man, I've always said the real reason people tune into this, sex appeal.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah,
it's
they just want to see Yeah, do they even hear what we're saying? I don't know, but they're looking at us.
So much so that they could probably smell our musky scent through the airwaves. Yeah.
They can smell the Axe body spray.
I go through a can a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Rightly so. Yes.
It's tasty. Anyway, a quick Rush Radio shout out. You can find Rush Radio on the TuneIn app at rushradio.org. We love rushradio.org. Thank you, Ed Stinger at rushasaband.com. Ed is a loyal Rush and fan and an innovator of I wish it's innovator or just an early early adopter of Rush content on the internet. And we love Rush as a band for that. We get a lot of news from Rush as a band, so thank you so much. Also, Power Windows website, 2112.net. Check them both out, folks. Those are the premier Rush internet websites that you could check out. Another quick shout out to the Mighty Why Not. Their music can be heard in the show's intro. What an incredible band. I think they have a new album coming out. We got to get them on the show again.
Yes.
Of course, Tim Strachey is all over Facebook, and you can hear his incredible bass playing. Rush fans, we want to hear from you. If you have comments, suggestions, ideas, or questions about the show, please submit them to us, and we'd like to hear from you. Email us at twoguyestalkingrush@gmail.com, 2 TWO guys talking rush @gmail. That's 2, not the number 2. We're always looking for super fans for our Rush super fan spotlight. What is a super fan? What makes you a super fan? Please email us and tell us why you think you should be on Two Guys Talking Rush. We've had some great super fans on so far. We've had people with tattoos, a man cave filled with Rush, from Rush deodorant to bobbleheads, whatever, You can also visit us at twoguystalkingrush.com. That's TWO guystalkingrush.com. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/TWO Two Guys Talking Rush. And last but not least, twitter.com/2 Guys Talk Rush. Twitter.com/2 Guys Talk Rush. And again, subscribe to our damn YouTube channel, folks. Speaking of all things, Two Guys Talking Rush, we receive no revenue from this podcast. It does take a small amount to keep it going. If you like what you hear and you don't want us to go away, kick in a couple of pennies if you can. You can do that through patreon.com/Two Guys Talking Rush. You can find that on our website. You can also buy Two Guys Talking Rush paraphernalia, mugs, t-shirts, hats, whatever, just to support the show. That would be great. We get fan mail from time to time, and I love it because, and no matter what it is, if it's if it's someone saying they don't like the show or they do like the show, it helps us kind of shape the show as it goes along. We just recently got a wonderful message from someone in Australia, which I think is that's the incredible thing about podcasting. It's like you reach so many people, right?
That's as far away as it gets, So, the fact that we not only got halfway around the world, but to a separate hemisphere.
Ooh.
See what I did there? That's as far out there unless they're listening to it on the space station. This has gotten as far as it can go. Yeah. It's very nice.
Even when one of my buddies was telling me he was listening to the podcast while he was working out in his basement. I'm like, cool.
Wow.
And then I call him up. He goes, whoa, I was just listening to the podcast. So I think that's pretty funny.
Wow.
I love it. I love radio. I've always loved radio. I consider this like radio. So
yeah, totally.
Listen, if Sirius is listening right now, Sirius Radio, and they want Dan and I as hosts of our own Rush podcast, bring us
right
on.
Here.
We're ready right here. Two Guys Talking Rush is ready for that. So anyway, here's an email, and I'll read it to you guys. So hi, John and Dan. I love the podcast, love it. Whoa. I loved last week's episode with Libby and Brent. As soon as I got home, I went straight onto the Styx World website to order the cookbook. No luck, as they won't post to Australia. So I emailed them, and unfortunately they won't ship to Australia. I sent, he said, that's very disappointing, disappointing. Go figure. I emailed Brent, and I think Brent will be able to work that out.
They work something out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I too am in the same industry as Libby and Brent, so I understand. I've owned a production company named after a Rush album, of course, as everything is. I've owned this company now for 30 years, and it doesn't get any worse than 2020. We are very lucky in Australia, as we've had a lot of government support through COVID. Things are slowly going back to normal. Wow, that's good. My Rush story, very briefly. I am from Wollongong, 1 hour south of Sydney, New Wales, Australia. I was in year 7, parenthetical, first year in high school at age 13, and a mate's brother played me Hemispheres, 1979 at the time. The song that got me was Circumstances, and that was it. Hooked now for 42 years. I was lucky to see them 15 times over the last 6 tours. It's hard when you're in a country a long way from North America and Europe, but I was determined to see them live. If only I lived in the USA. There's not many Rush fans in Australia, so we're kind of on our own, which suits me fine. Seeing thousands of Rush fans wearing Rush t-shirts at shows just amazed me. My first show was at the MGM Grand on the Vapor Trails tour, then Staples Center a few days later. I went home amazed, hooked more if that was at all possible. Then 2004 for our 35 shows in the UK, 2 at Wembley, Birmingham, Manchester, and Glasgow. In 2008, Snakes and Arrows, 2 shows, Irvine, then Mandalay Bay and Las Vegas. 2011, Time Machine, San Diego, and MGM Grand. In 2013, Clockwork Angels, Toronto, and Brooklyn. Wow, it was a long journey.
Exactly.
That's a long journey.
Yeah.
See that Rush brought someone from Australia all the way to Brooklyn.
There's no concept of distance.
And you were probably at that show.
At the Barclays Center?
Yeah. The 2015 R40, Phoenix and Irvine, 3rd and 2nd last show. I don't know how I would survive without having Rush in my life. I'm very lucky, as all Rush fans are. Keep up the good work. Regards, Andrew. Nice.
Salute, Andrew.
Hey, thank you, Andrew.
Yeah,
right on. Keep listening to Rush, and maybe you can come on the show sometime.
Yeah.
There's another one from a guy named Mark with a C. Hello, John. I was just listening to the holiday special and also wanted to watch it on YouTube. Yeah, so one question I got is how quickly do we get stuff onto YouTube? It's just a matter of how much time I have, really. It takes a little bit of while to convert the video and get it up. But
you have to do all the digital de-aging too.
Exactly. I have to go in and touch up my wrinkles and, add longer eyelashes on for you, Dan.
Yes.
You requested it, so I can't deny you of that. Anyway, what I do is we record the show, extract audio, beef up the audio, and then edit the video, and that just takes some time. So right now, today is the 17th of January. All shows are up to date on YouTube. So I have to get onto the website. The shows are not up to date, but it's all there, folks. It's all on there. So here he says, I really appreciate all the behind the scene elements of Rush and their shows that you guys uncover with your interviews with crew members, etc. I recognized a few of your guests having watched a few episodes of Backstage Secrets, Snakes and Arrows tour on YouTube. We got to watch that. In fact, you should watch. Have you seen that yet? Backstage Secrets. It's really great, and mostly everybody that's on that has been on our show.
Oh,
and
cool.
It's all about the behind the scenes production. It's a little documentary on the behind the scenes production of Snakes and Arrows and the Rush tour. So yeah, definitely check it. They take you on the tour bus, everything. So anyway, keep up the good work. Mark says, thank you, Mark. Keep listening. Tell it all your friends. Tell your mom, your dad, whoever, get them to listen. Anyway, Rush news, folks. This week in Rush history, 1975, Rush played the Convention Center in Winnipeg, Manitoba on the Rush tour. In 1977, Rush played the Municipal Auditorium in Kansas City, Missouri on the All the World's a Stage tour. In 77, Rush played the Expo Square Pavilion in Tulsa, Oklahoma on the All the World's a Stage tour. In 79, they play the Palace Theater in Albany, New York on the Hemispheres tour. In 86, they play the Summit in Houston, Texas on the Power Windows tour. In 88, they play the Reynolds Coliseum in Raleigh, North Carolina on the Hold Your Fire tour. In 96, Alex appeared on Rockline promoting the release of Victor. 2006, the Rush biography Chemistry by John Collins was released. In 2016, Feedback and Snakes and Arrows were reissued on 200-gram heavyweight vinyl and high-res digital audio. Good luck trying to find those for under $200 a whack.
Yeah.
Rush news. So, each week we try to just pull out some little factoids and pieces of info that are floating around about what Getty and Alex are doing, anything that relates to Neil in the Rush universe, fan news. I love it because, it still lives on. The Rush world we still exist. The fan base is growing even bigger, and there's more to be talked about. So this is wonderful. The Vancouver Symphony Orchestra, VSO, will be hosting a virtual gala concert next month in support of the VSO and the VSO School of Music. Rush's Geddy Lee, Itzhak Perlman, Katie Lang, and many others will be taking part in the event. The show must go on. Stories of Resilience will be streamed February 18th. It says that hosted by vocalist and past VSO soloist Steve Maddock, it features songs and inside stories about everything from missed fights to canceled tours. Sounds like fun. With VSO maestro Otto Tausk, violin virtuoso James Eanes, Canadian opera star Misha, oh boy, this name's going to be hard, Misha Brugger-Gosman. Oh, it's long. Brugger-Gosman. Broadcasting legend Red Robinson, former Bare Naked Ladies member turned solo artist Steve Page, brass star Jens Lindman, singer, trumpet sensation Bria Schoenberg, and Canadian pianist Stuart Goodyear taking part, as well as many others. So definitely check that out. You can go to theconcerthall.ca for information, theconcerthall.ca. So check that out. Questionable if Getty's going to participate. That is the word on the street. So if you're interested in seeing a Getty sighting, which everybody is, right? This Tuesday, well, it's the 17th, so in a couple days. So this will air too late. But January 19th, Fantunes is releasing a newly official licensed Rush book titled Neil Peart, the illustrated quotes. The book will still exist. The book had originally been slated to release last week, but had to be pushed back a week due to shipping delays. However, orders made via the Rush Backstage Club and the Fantunes online store have already begun shipping out, and many fans have already received their copies. The 108-page hardcover book was authorized by Peart himself before his passing and is currently available for pre-order via Amazon. So check that out. In the book's description, it says the first and only official collection of illustrated quotes from Rush drummer and lyricist Neil Peart. Neil Peart, the illustrated quotes, pairs elegant illustrations with some of Neil's greatest remarks to bring the poignant words of one of the world's greatest drummers to life. Pairing striking black and white illustrations from the acclaimed artists at Fantunes with some of the drummer's greatest quotes, Neil Peart, the illustrated quotes, keeps the beautiful words and musings of Neil Peart alive. Neil Peart, the illustrated quotes, is the first and only Neil Peart quotes collection, authorized by Neil himself. Not only does the book provide Rush fans, both old and new, the opportunity to dive into Neil's inspiring messages whenever they need a pick-me-up, it also serves as a love letter to Peart and his beautifully crafted words that have inspired and influenced millions around the world. Definitely check that out. I think I might grab a copy of that myself.
It sounds good, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
I might need to do that myself.
Totally. And our friend and previous guest, author Kevin J. Anderson, reported via social media earlier this week that he has signed a contract with ECW Press to publish Clockwork Destiny, the third novel in the Clockwork Angels trilogy. From his Facebook page, it says some good news. After last week's sad Rush anniversary, I just signed the contract at ECW Press for Clockwork Destiny, the third novel in the Clockwork Angels trilogy, based on an idea Neil had while working on the Percussionist Tale. He and I brainstormed the story, but he knew I'd have to write it without him. This is being done with full approval of his wife. I started writing this spring. Anderson and Peart co-wrote the first two novels in the trilogy Clockwork Angels and Clockwork Lives, or is it Craic Lives? I always forget Lives. That's it. In 2012 and 2015, respectively. The books are based on the story and lyrical concepts created by Neil Peart for Rush's 2012 Clockwork Angels album. Boy, Neil's work just keeps on living, man. It's just growing, you know? So awesome.
Yeah. You know, like you and I say all the time, this is going to go on. You know, and I'm glad, you know, as bittersweet as it is that Kevin said that Neil knew this third book would get written without him. But what makes me happy about that is that Neil knew this would continue. So he knew that he had contributed to something lasting. I mean, I'm sure he knew that anyway, but, you know, when the clock is ticking, you tend to see these things differently, I guess.
Totally.
So I'm glad he was aware of that.
I think you're right. The latest issue of Classic Rock Magazine, issue 284, includes an interview with Foo Fighters drummer Taylor Hawkins. At one point, he is asked about his friendship with Neil Peart and says the following: "He was 100% not like me." He was well. I kind of like Taylor Hawkins for a reason. That he's pretty down to earth. He's like, you know, he just looks like a drummer. He's wicked lanky and tall and just kind of, you know.
Well, he has like Animal from the Muppet Show
kind
energy.
Of, yeah. He's kind of like what Tommy Lee was in the early days. You know, really tall, like, without the makeup and all that stuff, but without the glam. You know, he was 100%
without the boat. You know,
no, before that, I'm talking like the first two albums.
Right.
He was 100% not like me. He was well-spoken and thoughtful and bookish and a little bit socially awkward. I didn't know him super well, but I knew him well enough. I was lucky to share some fun moments with him. The issue also includes an article titled "Beat It: The Ultimate Prog Drummers," where they list off some prog drummers that you need to know. Topping the list, of course, is Neil Peart, saying recently voted #1 prog musician of all time by the readers of our sister title Prog. Rush's drummer was a poster boy for prog, a disciplined, metronomic, and powerful player. Part of that Ultimate Power trio from 1975 until his untimely death in 2020, Peart continued pushing himself and boundaries, inspiring generations of drummers. His secret, ? You have to practice and trust yourself, he told Music Radar in 2011. Treble magazine posted the 5th and final part of their series of profiling Rush's discography this past week. The latest installment covers the band's final 3 albums: Vapor Trails, Snakes and Arrows, and Clockwork Angels. So check that out. Phil Simon is an award-winning author, public speaker, professor of technology and analytics at ACU, and most importantly, a Rush fan. Back in 2014, he interviewed Neil Peart for the Huffington Post and is known for dropping Rush references into all of his books. His latest book, released last month, is titled Reimagining Collaboration, Slack, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and the Post-COVID World of Work. True to form, Simon includes a fun Rush reference in the book. You can see that example on rushasaband.com. In 2020, NHL hockey season kicked off earlier this week, so it seems appropriate to highlight the fact that 11 years ago, yesterday, which was 15th or 16th, Neil Peart's recording of the hockey theme premiered on NHL on TSN and is seen. It can be seen on YouTube or on Rush's. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh, it's amazing, man.
Really? Okay.
It's a song that's been composed, and it's him playing along to it. It's really, really good. He's got a hockey jersey on, and
cool.
and his hat, his beanie has some of the team's logos on it.
Right.
Yeah. We forget, these guys grew up in Canada. I think Neil famously said he wasn't very good. He skated on his ankles. I think that's what he said,
I think the quote, I think I know what you're talking about. He said something like, if you grow up in Canada and you don't play hockey, you're kind of screwed, because that's it. It's hockey or you're done.
I mean, I could only imagine, because I grew up in Boston. Every one of my friends skated, and I just was terrible at it, On our last episode, we reflected on the life and career of Neil Peart, where we remembered his legacy. Recently, Ultimate Classic Rock's Ryan Reed wrote an article on how Rush's The Garden feels like Neil Peart's symbolic goodbye, where he says, "For me, The Garden was a major step forward as a songwriter and as a singer." End quote. This is what Neil said, he reportedly recalled in a promotional interview from 20 from 2012, quote, "I've always wanted to do that kind of song where the melody was the thing that made it connect with you, that it gave it that gave it resonance, where the voice kind of comes out of the soundscape and delivers the story to you in a heartfelt way. To achieve that without it being schmaltzy or feeling forced, and with the music around the voice to be very relaxed, I think can only come from years of playing and from confidence," end quote. And the writer goes on to say, in Peart's meditative poetry sparks that performance. He was always one of rock's wisest lyricists, dwelling on big themes like adolescent angst and subdivisions and alienation brought by fame. Of course, Limelight and The Garden ranks among his most direct and primal work. One final reflection on mortality and maximizing every moment. Of course, the final song of the Rush legacy, which again, it still amazes me every time that is the final song. Peart writes in the song The Garden, "The measure of life is a measure of love," where Lee sings, "So hard to earn, so easily burned. In the fullness of time, a garden to nurture and protect. It's a measure of a life." And we had an episode called, it was like The Fullness of Time, where we talked about Peart, and I think Kevin J. Anderson was on that episode.
Yeah.
And, that was a great episode. Before his death, Peart quietly battled brain cancer for 3.5 years. Given that timeline, he clearly didn't conceive The Garden as a literal goodbye. But for his fans still searching for meaning and amid the sadly meaningless, it serves as a symbolic one. And I think there was some prophetic writing in that song, The Garden. Whether Neil
I would say so.
And he, you know something, and I say that, and I always say that Neil is was a Renaissance man. You know, like most of those Renaissance, much of those characters in the Renaissance, as they existed, were prophetic in their writings, prophetic in their drawings. Leonardo da Vinci, you know, all these incredible forces that sort of saw the future without, you know, outside of the norm of society, right? So going on to our guests, and as it relates to what we were talking about as cover songs, we touched on that a little bit earlier. In September of 2020, Rush Fest, the annual Scottish Rush Festival, launched a charity Rush tribute album, and they got Rush album cover designer Hugh Syme on board to create the artwork. It's called Tribute: Songs for Neil Volume 1. It was released on September 12th, which was the late Rush drummer Neil Peart's birthday. All of the profits from that album went to Cancer Support Scotland, UK, and the Glioblastoma Foundation of Neil Peart Research Award in the USA, which is great. That album features 12 covers of Rush songs, including Canadian singer-songwriter Jacob Boone's version of Subdivisions. That video is on YouTube. And Brazilian prog rock duo Fleesh, who covered The Garden, which is actually very good. And from Rush tribute bands from around the world, including Scotland's the Macallan Project, Italy's La Villa Strangiato, Canada's New World Men, and Far and Near from the UK. My friends Lotus Land are on the album. They do an incredible version of Cinderella Man. A big shout out to my buddies with Lotus Land. Quote, Rush continued to be an inspiration to musicians worldwide, end quote. Rush Fest organizer Steve Brown tells Prog, quote, this album showcases some of the best. That old imitation / flattery cliche rings true here. Everyone involved has taken part because they love the band. Soundtrack to our lives, ? You bet. Steve goes on to say, our main event was canceled this year, as was every other gig, but our online event in this past June was a great success. They raised over £9,000 for charity. On the back of that, and with some lockdown inspiration, the idea for a tribute album came to mind. Having organized Rush Fest Scotland since 2014, Brown had been in touch with a lot of Rush tribute bands over the years. He plays in one himself, where he says the call was put out on social media. Bands got in touch. This album had to be produced in a short time scale, so only those with quality recordings made the short list. Rushfest Scott will be back in 2021 with Jacob Moon, Hugh Syme, and Terry Brown as VIPs. Very cool. A second album of covers is planned for March 2021. And some of the songs on this are Far Cry, number 1, the Macallan Project, Number 2, Subdivisions by Jacob Moon, and Jacob was on our show,
That's right.
which is he was great. He performed the song Subdivisions on our show. Number 3, The Trees by New World Men. The Garden by Fleesh at number 4. Number 5 is After Image by Moving Pictures. Number 6, Cinderella Man by Lotus Land. Number 7, The Pass, the Rush Tribute Project, which I believe are going to be on our show in the spring, which I'm really psyched about. Number 8, Nobody's Hero, 3 Snow Dogs. That's the name of the band. Marathon Live by La Villa Stragiato, and Losing It by Clockwork Angels. Wow, all these Rush tribute bands. Yeah. Vital Signs, the Rushians. Number 12, Between the Wheels Live by Bravado. Number 13, Closer to the Heart by David King. Number 14, Time Stands Still by Far and Near. Oh. It was misprinted here. It said Closer to the Dave by David King. Someone had wrote that. That was it. And then of course, yeah. So Closer to the Heart by David King. And then number 14, Time Stands Still by Far and Near. And there it is.
Yep.
Well, folks, our next guest is organizer of Rush Fest Scotland, longtime Rush fan, doing wonderful things in the world. And we love to talk to folks from other countries as it relates to the Rush fan base. So here he is. Welcome, Steve Brown, to Two Guys Talking Rush. So Steve Brown, welcome to Two Guys Talking Rush. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and maybe explain who you are and where you're from?
Hi, John. Hi, Dan. I'm Steve Brown. I'm currently in a little village called Arisaig in the Scottish Highlands, Scotland, UK. I've been a Rush fan all my adult life. First saw them in 1983 on the Signals tour when they played in Edinburgh. On the 24th of May, I do believe, was the date they played in, one of the 2 dates they played in Edinburgh in Scotland on the Signals tour, and they've just been a major part of my life ever since. I'm a musician. I play live for a living, usually when we're not in lockdown, and the day job is usually just playing sort of weddings and covers, that kind of stuff. But about 10-12 years ago, I joined a Rush tribute band here in Scotland. Back then, they were called the Tobes of Hades, which you'll know is a great reference. But when I joined, we changed the name to Moving Pictures, just something a little bit more obvious to maybe folk that are not that heavily into Rush. Sorry.
Take us back to when you were like a kid, a teenager. What, Dan and I obviously were in the United States, and I think that for the most part, Dan and I have had similar high school, kind of grade school experiences as it relates to music. We're always interested in talking to people from other countries and how rock and roll and music had entered your life and how it influenced you, especially with the band Rush. So, maybe take us back to a young Steve Brown and, when you first heard the band and maybe what you were like at the time and what it was like, what your circle of friends were like. Were you like us going into, friends' bedrooms and smoking a joint and putting on a record? I mean, this happens quite a bit,
We don't endorse that type of behavior.
You don't endorse going into bedrooms. Yes.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Let's not go into bedrooms apart from our own. Yes, indeed. I'm with you on that one.
Once you enter a bedroom, it's nothing but problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Garages, basements, and bedrooms. Ooh, that's a good name for a band right there. Yeah.
Beneath, between, behind. Insert wherever you want.
Yeah.
When I was. What year would it have been? 81, so I'd have been about 13 or 14. I'd been more into sort of punk new wave originally. Over here in the UK, bands like the Stranglers and the Jam and the Police and that sort of thing. And then one day I went to a friend's house and his big brother was playing some heavy metal music. And I came away, he loaned me 4 albums, I think. Black Sabbath's Greatest Hits, in fact 5 albums. Black Sabbath's Greatest Hits, AC/DC Back in Black, Led Zepp 4, A Farewell to Kings and 2112. And that was me. I was sold. 2112 blew me away instantly, and then Farewell to Kings is still my favourite album of all time. So yeah, it's just instant. What is going on here? I love this. Because I'd been a guitarist from maybe about age 8 or 9, influenced by my own big brother, just sort of playing away in my bedroom, just strumming away in a few chords. So I was always into sort of guitar-based music, and just the variety that Alex plays on A Farewell to Kings in particular just grabbed my teenage mind and blew me away. So that was my initiation to Rush, and around about that same time I was starting to go to gigs. So my first big concert was Saxon. Do you guys know Saxon?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
You okay?
Denim
New
and
Wave.
Leather. Yeah.
Denim
Yeah,
and
that
Leather,
was
definitely.
Was that the tour? That was the tour. I think that was the tour I saw.
Yeah, 1981, right?
That's the one. Yeah, October
That's right, yeah.
81. And in fact, I saw them in October. It was the exact same date. I think it was the 18th or 19th of October. 2019 or 2018. Saxon still playing, still on the go, and they still tingles up the spine. Absolutely amazing band. But the drummer in our Rush tribute band, we've got an ongoing joke. He doesn't like Saxon at all. He just they're a bit too basic for his taste. So, but he's a drummer. You know what I mean? So what does he know?
Yeah.
Well, a regular drummer, obviously, but a regular drummer that can play the attempts to play Rush. So yeah, he's a good guy. But yeah, so Saxon was my first big concert, and yeah, it was always rock bands from then on. Motorhead, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, that sort of thing. Marillion, early Marillion. So that was me all the way through.
So what was the music scene like in Scotland in the 80s, man? What was happening?
Not a lot was coming out of Scotland itself, apart from things like the Proclaimers, that sort of thing. Simple Minds, with them on the go, they were great. I saw them for the first time just a few years ago, and they've always been. I've always appreciated their music, and again, Charlie Burchill on guitar, phenomenal guitarist, and then Texas and Gun, those sort of bands, did they reach America? Yeah.
Texas did.
Yeah. Gun maybe not.
The Proclaimers. There was that one song, 500 Miles.
500 Miles. Yeah, because that was big in a movie. Benny and June was the movie, I think. Yeah.
If I may, just about that song. I hope you won't mind me saying this. I consider that song a crime against humanity, like chemical weapons, like sarin gas. It's a tragedy that it even exists. Maybe they have other songs, and that song's not representative of what they're. No, because there are a lot of really good bands with one hit, and the hit is their worst song, and it's not represented. It's like All Right Now with Free, not representative of them
again,
at all.
Overplayed and
So maybe the Proclaimers, the other 99% of their music is this incredibly rich, wonderful thing, or maybe it isn't. I don't know.
They may well agree with you. They do have about a dozen old albums, but that is their biggest hit.
They've had to play it at every performance for the last 35 years.
And the thing is, with me, as I mentioned earlier, I play in a wedding band. I myself have had to play and sing that song. I know. Hence, when I had the opportunity to join a Rush tribute band, I grabbed it with both hands.
Jumped at it,
That keeps me sane. Trying to attempt to play the lives and stuff, So I mean, the other guys in the band are the same. They're all professional musicians playing in wedding bands. That's how we pay the rent. But the Rush stuff keeps us sane, and when we get a chance to gig. We find that the Rush fans that come to see us are very forgiving, for one, because it's very hard to try and pull that stuff off properly. So we make mistakes left, right, and centre. But we have enough of a following, and obviously Rush have got enough of a following, and there's enough of the Rush fans that appreciate tribute bands. So we yeah, we have a ball
Yeah.
trying to play the Rush stuff, you know.
Are you the singer in that band also, or just
No.
a guitar player?
Just guitar. We
Okay.
have
That's
yeah.
plenty. I would think.
Absolutely, yeah. We've had 3 lineups since I joined, three geddies, but the one we have now is, and I'm sure the other folk won't mind me saying this, he is our best that we've found. This guy called John Power. He is the full geddy, the full gedster. So yeah, we're very happy. We'd done 3 gigs before lockdown. We'd only managed 3 gigs with John. We were just building up some steam when we locked. So we're pretty frustrated right now. But anyway, we're doing some lockdown videos and that sort of thing to keep us sane. So
How is lockdown? How is the COVID situation in Scotland? Is it really bad, or what's going on there?
we've been not too bad here. Our first minister, as she's called, Nicola Sturgeon, has been on top of it. But it's still pretty bad. I mean, we're all in full lockdown again right now to try and, wait till this vaccine gets round us all. And there's a second strain that's here now, which is seemingly more virulent than the first. So another reason to stay locked down. So, so that's all we can do. Just keep our heads down until we get the vaccine and we can come out to hopefully some sort of normality, you know?
What do you do? What is your career outside of being a musician? I mean, that could be your sole career. I don't know, but do you have another profession? Or?
That's it. I play. I sing proclaimers for a living. Yeah, well, there are other songs, but I do usually between 2 and 7 nights a week. I'm usually out gigging, just playing covers, you know. But I do original stuff as well, and I've done more of that during lockdown. I was in another rock band. In fact, one of the main reason I'm on chatting to you guys is Rushfest Scotland, an annual fan gathering that I organise in Scotland every year.
So how would you describe Rushfest? What is that? So outside of the compilations album, which we'll get into, what is Rushfest, and how did you get to be the organizer of that?
It started in 2014. The tribute band Moving Pictures, we were asked to play in another annual Rush fan festival in England called Rush UCon, EU Con, a kind of European fan convention. And chatting to the organisers then, they told us that it would never take place in Scotland again. It used to move around the UK, but for the previous few years it was always at the same venue in England. So when he told me that they would stay in that venue for as long as possible, it wouldn't come to Scotland again, a light bulb went off and I thought, let's have one in Scotland. So I had already been doing the tribute band for a couple of years, so I knew there was an audience in Scotland itself. So that's how it started. Rushfest Scotland is just an annual, one day, we open the doors at 1 p.m, it usually goes on to about 3 in the morning, and we have tribute bands and other musical acts, VIPs, either in person or via Skype. We've had Terry Brown across, and we've had like Jack Secret and Donna Halper and Alan Weinrib as our VIPs on Skype live on the day. Auctions and raffles, quizzes, just a bunch of Rush fans getting together and having fun and raising money for charity. So we've raised quite a lot for charity as well.
So in non-COVID days, this is strictly a Skype thing, or is this an indoor event where people attend? They come to attend it, right?
Yep, it's a live event, usually held in up till, how many events? 5 events so far, and they all took place in Scotland's oldest rock club, the Dreadnought Rock in Bathgate, which is like central Scotland, right between Glasgow and Edinburgh. So it's 200 capacity, I think. So it's not huge, but I mean, 200, Rush fans, put them in the one building and stand back. So great fun. Absolutely great fun. But this year, with COVID, I ended up doing it online. But we still managed to raise about $8,000, which I don't know what's about $10,000. We have merch and raffle items and all that sort of thing. So the thing is, this year or last year, 2020, we actually had Terry Brown was going to come back across again in person, and Hugh Syme. They were both going to come across in person. So they're lined up. They're still going to come when we can do it again. We've still got the flights booked, paid for. So hopefully, health willing, everybody's still available. And whenever we're able to do it again.
So, aside from this, we'll get more into that. But what does Rush mean to you? Why are you so passionate about Rush? What is it about the band that you love so much that has sort of pushed you in a direction where they kind of not dominate your life, but sort of they're part of your life in this way?
First and foremost, it's always the music. And coming from a guitarist point of view, I've always kind of homed in on the guitar. That's been my thing, I've written some original songs with co-writers, but I've always concentrated on the music. I'm a kind of riff guy. But having known Rush for as long as I have now, and you can't not appreciate the talents of everybody else in that band and the lyrics, etc., and the fact that they're not singing the usual rock topics, it just makes they're just a band that keeps on giving. Simple as that, and even more so when you start to, I think I know a song, I know how to play a certain riff, but every time I go back to it, or I listen to the original again for whatever reason, if I've got gigs coming up, I'll practice it again, there's always something more to learn. There's so many levels to these three guys, what they're playing, even if I'm just homing in on the guitar, it's just non-stop learning. That's the appeal.
Yeah, cool. And the compilations album, can you talk more about that? What that is, how you got that together? And I know COVID sort of, there it is. Talk about this.
Well, it wasn't long after I did the lockdown Rush Fest Scotland online in June 2020, just about a couple of weeks after that. So the dust kind of settled. Because it took a lot of advanced planning and pre-recorded videos. We had Jacob Moon, he was involved, because again, he was going to come across and do a live set for us. So he was also, it was like, But again, all these flight tickets are still booked and paid for, so hopefully when it opens up again, these three very important people are going to come across and we'll see them all in the flesh. We had whiskey tours and everything set up for them. We were going to show them give them the whole Scottish experience, So a couple of weeks after the online Rush Fest Scotland, because through Rush Fest Scotland I'd been in touch with a lot of other tribute bands, because we used to invite them to come and play. It just came to me, an inspiration. I'll try and put together an album of Rush covers by Rush tribute bands from around the world. So I just put a couple of appeals out on our Facebook pages and social media, and I think we ended up with 14 or 15. 14, I'm looking at it here, 14 tracks. So 14 bands in total from all over the world submitted tracks, and then it was just a case of the running order, the bands that we put on there was, they kind of chose themselves, because it just depended on who got in touch, if they had any recordings done already that were of a good enough quality, and then the fun began trying to pick a track list. Do you have any favorites? Do you have any favorites on the album? Yes, but I'm biased because I'm playing two of them. But no, apart from without being too narcissistic, Fleesh. Do you know the band Fleesh from Brazil? Where we've got their version of The Garden on here, which is phenomenal. Have you guys had a chance to listen to this? I sent you the link. Yeah. They brought out their own. I'm terrible. I can't remember the name of it. They brought out an album of Rush covers on their own. The Other Hemispheres. Forgive me, CeeLo and Gabby from Fleesh, if you're listening. I can't remember the name of your... but they have a whole album of Rush covers, and it's all phenomenal. Gabby's voice just brings a whole new beauty to the songs.
That was the first thing that struck me when I was listening to... the album's interesting because, some of the artists on it go in this way, like Jacob Moon, for example, takes it in this other direction that the first time I heard it, I really hadn't even considered that you could as radically depart
Aye.
from the original arrangement as he did. But that really shows you how good the songs are, that you can do pretty much anything with them.
Yeah.
Provided it's a good musician and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The instrumentation on The Garden in the Fleesh version of it is similar, but her voice, like the second she started singing, I was like,
Aye. Yeah, transported. And again, it shows you the power of the songs. I mean, to me, that's a sign of an amazing song. If someone else can cover it and it sounds so great.
You could tell with all of them, though, that there's this kind of passion that's there beyond just how well it's played. That you can tell this means something to all of them, not just because they've all named their bands after Rush songs.
Yeah,
but it's something you can just perceive as you listen to it. This matters to them.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. You can't just play Rush, like, as I said before, I'm playing in a wedding band, we're learning other songs, like Brown Eyed Girl and that sort of thing. That is just like, okay, let's learn it, let's do it. You really have to be into Rush to learn it, to play it properly. So, yeah. First and foremost, they're all big fans, and then they have to be of a certain calibre of musician to pull it off even slightly, So, yeah, you're into the bar's been raised already, the fact that these folk are even attempting to play Rush, So, yeah, that comes across, like you say. And the fact we've got La Villa Strangiato from Italy and the Russians who are from Holland, what they call the Russians. So even these guys, they're Russians, but they're from the Netherlands, yes. We've had these guys over to play at Rushfest Scotland, so that's how we knew those guys. And it's just when you hear the song being sung with those lilts in the accent as well, it's like, this is international. These guys are loved the world over. It's lovely. It's so nice.
I like that, though. I like the little differences.
Absolutely.
That's the little details.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just listen to the record.
Yeah, which we always can, and that's the thing about tribute bands. There's you'll know yourself. There's sort of two camps there's fans, not just for Rush, for any band, I'm sure, who will never, and they don't have to ever, like or be into tribute bands of their favourite band. Why should you? Because the real stuff's always going to be there recorded wise, obviously. But there are enough of the fans out there that appreciate what tribute bands are trying to do. Even though we're all just doing it for the love of it ourselves. And if one man and his dog wants to come and see us when we put on a show, that doesn't matter. We're still playing it for ourselves, So
I played shows where we didn't even get the dog.
Yeah. Excellent.
So we chose a couple of songs that we like. I mean, we've had Jacob Moon on the show. We love Subdivisions just because it's different, but still retains the integrity and quality of the song, and the meaning of the song. Obviously, my choice was Cinderella Man, and I'm biased because Lotus Land are my friends. I know those guys, Christopher Nelson, and I've seen them a number of times. Oh my! I mean, if you just
I saw them in 2012. I came over for. It was a Clockwork Angels tour in Toronto, and they were playing as part of RushCon. The RushCon girls on, and they were playing the Hard Rock Cafe in Toronto. I think it was a night between. Rush played the 2 nights as usual with a night off in between. I think that was the night that I could be wrong, but I think that's the night Lotus Land were playing. And I remember what stands out. One of the standout moments was during the encore of Working Man. And do you know the song that they slip into the middle of that?
Oh, yes.
Come on, guys. Put you on the spot.
Yes. Yeah, the Yes tune.
Roundabout. That blew me away. I was like, and then they went into like a few bars of Roundabout, then back into Working Man. I thought, genius. That is genius. So I've kept in touch with the guys since then. So they're phenomenal band.
Super talented. Big shout out to Lotus Lane. So how did you get Hugh Syme to get involved with the album art? And he's obviously a legend in the art world, and of course within the world of Rush. How did you get that?
Well, like I said, he was already booked to come across as our VIP, so I'd already been in touch with them about that. I'm trying to think who. Was it through Terry? And we'd already been in touch with Terry Brown, as I mentioned, so I've got contact with him. I think it's probably through... I've got a good buddy in Toronto called Paul Beaulieu, so a big shout out to Paul Beaulieu. In fact, I met him in May 2012, the first time I went to Toronto, and we've been good buddies ever since. In fact, he's come across from most of the Rushfest Scotlands. So he brought Terry across, and he made contact with virtually all our VIPs on our behalf. He knows Peggy and the other staff at SRO. So I'm sure it's been put through Paul Beaulieu and Terry, connections there, that we got in touch with Hugh. But Hugh's a lovely guy. I don't know, have you had him on the show?
I've talked to him in length.
He's such a lovely chatterbox, isn't he? You get him on the phone. He loves a blether. Yeah,
I love it. Yeah. Totally.
So nice.
So we I can't remember I think I just got in touch. That's what I did. I got in touch with him and Terry, telling him about the idea. We'd already had the cover idea. This the portrait on the front was done by a good artist friend of ours called Charlie Roy, who does a lot of he kind of specialises in prog art musicians, and he's done a lot of Rush paintings and portraits of the Rush guys. And our usual art guy, a guy called Paul Tippett, who I don't know if you've heard of him, Danforth and Pape. He does a lot of T-shirts, Rush themed kind of T-shirts. He did the artwork for us. He did that. He did as much as the portrait on a wall with the Dalmatian. Okay, looking up at it. If anybody wants to see the artwork, it's on the rushfestscotland.co.uk webpage, so you'll see the artwork there. So I got in touch with Terry and Hugh asking for sleeve notes. I just asked them, guys, this is what we're doing, any chance of writing a little bit for us for the liner notes, the sleeve notes, whatever we call them. So I'd sent them both a rough artwork as it was at that point, just to say, this is what we're doing so far. And Hugh being Hugh, I don't think he could help himself. He jumped on it and went, guys, and he just gave us a few little pointers. I can't remember, but he and our art director guy, Paul, they kind of went off and did their own bit, talking about things like shadowing and the details into the actual image. And Hugh said to add the hydrant, because I think Paul wanted to, but he thought, I'm not going to do that without permission. It might be kind of treading on copyright grounds here, but Hugh came in and said, look, add the hydrant to give it a splash of colour. And so that was Hugh's input, and that's it, so we were eternally grateful to him. And originally we were going to bring it out in blue vinyl, just for whatever reason it was going to be blue vinyl, but then Hugh told us that red is Peart's favourite colour. So it's out on red vinyl. And that ties in with the hydrant, obviously. So that's how Hugh got involved.
Yeah.
Nice. And how have sales been? Are you doing well with downloads? Or
Yeah, we've sold about 300 copies of the CD and the red vinyl. So it's fine. I mean, we could. We've got a few more to sell, but it's very time consuming. I'm the only person kind of running this. There was another two folk helping me out, but because of lockdown and all the rest of it, it's all kind of, and I've got time to do it. It's fine. I'm not complaining at all. But it's kind of plateaued, and there's actually been a big delay with the vinyl. I'm still waiting for the vinyl to arrive. Hopefully next week. I keep because of COVID and we're going through Brexit just now as well. So we've got customs. The vinyl's actually getting pressed in Germany, so by the time that comes across to us, so there's been a big delay with that. But everyone that's bought it so far, bought the album in advance, is totally understandable. They all just say, look, it'll take as long as it takes, and they all get a download already. So they've all got a copy on download already. It's just the vinyl itself and waiting to arrive.
Yeah, and there's a second volume coming in March, I read.
It'll be later than March now, because I want to get this one done and out of the way before I've got the bands lined up for the second one, but I'm not going to move any further until I get number one out. And then I might give myself a few months off, and then go for number two, knowing how long it took to get the vinyl for this one done,
And can you reveal who the bands are, or do you want to hold that, keep it quiet?
I'm best not to at the moment, just in case, because it's not been finalised,
We understand.
Yeah, you know how it goes. Yeah, even right down to the last minute, we don't know. Things, there was a couple of bands that we wanted on here that for various reasons didn't make it, So, yeah.
You probably know
I'm sorry that there was that whole the issue with the vinyl, but I think today's customers for vinyl understand that they're getting they're getting something special and something specially created for the moment, and so they don't mind if there's a holdup or they have to wait or whatever. They're a lot more patient than I download everything. That's how I listen to music, and it's like if I can't get it now, injustice, terrible, you know. No, but vinyl is more of like a lifestyle choice almost.
It is, and it's just
you have to have furniture for it. You have it's a big deal. Yes, right, exactly.
But I mean, you see, I've got a rack of this shit over there. Yeah,
so, I don't have the patience for that, but nothing sounds better. That's the thing. If you're serious about the sound and that sort of thing, nothing sounds better than vinyl. Nothing.
Yeah. But then that's why we did both. Well, we've done the 3 formats, and even if you buy a physical format, vinyl or CD, you get the download right away. So we're covered all bases, you know. And we haven't down the Spotify route yet, although we might. But there's the whole streaming politics that
that's okay if you don't end up on Spotify. I think
we might. Well, the thing is, I'll delay it so far. We've made enough to cover expenses, so it's making a profit. Great, and if going on Spotify will bring us more sales, then we'll do it. You know, but it's done for the love of it, but it's also done to make money for charity. You know, so yeah.
So where can, before I forget, if you can, definitely get Why Not on the album, because they're friends of the show and they kick ass.
Well, that was the bones of contention there. That's a long story. Yeah, and in a good way, but there's been hiccups there, which has been really frustrating. So fingers crossed. I want them on the next one, but it's kind of out of my hands.
Okay, and so where can folks find this album and buy this album?
It's all been sold through the main website, which is rushfestscotland.co.uk. I think there's only 3 pages to the website, and there's one called Songs for Neil. So just have a little rummage around that website, rushfestscotland.co.uk, and whatever you buy, you'll get the download link sent to you within a day or two. And then you can wait for the physical product to arrive. But yeah, most of the sales has gone to North America. But yeah, Brazil, New Zealand, all of Europe, Finland. I've got a couple going off to Finland. So yes, it's been a success. Well chuffed with it all.
Good. And so typically on this show, we always ask our fans to do a couple of difficult things. One is to name your top 5 Rush albums.
Well, I've already mentioned the first one, Farewell to Kings.
Would you say that's your number 1?
It can chop and change, but I think it's more often than not, number 1. Yeah, has to be. Moving Pictures has to be in there as well. Hemispheres. You can see I'm old school. Signals grew on me, and it's now one of my favourites. I don't know, you guys look at the same sort of age. I don't know if you were the same when it first came out. There was all, that was the start of the keyboard era, and it's like, oh, what are they doing, But I've since grown to love it. There's so much of some of his best stuff is on that album.
Yes.
Guitar-wise, and it's like, at the time, everybody was just going, keyboards, but if you look at it now, it's like, this is guitar. There's a lot of guitar going on there, thanks to Mr. Bruden, perhaps. That's Terry's last album. We don't know. Number 5. Oh. Well, I do love Clockwork Angels. That's very special. Just to give a curveball to myself there, because Hemispheres should be in there as well. It's difficult, isn't it? Trying to pick 5 favourites, yeah. But just to put a nod to, and Snakes and Arrows has grown on me as well. Mm-hmm. That is a real, to me, I've grown to really love that. And talking about vinyl, that shines on vinyl.
Yeah,
that's a great album on vinyl. Yeah. But I think Clockwork Angels is special to me because that's the first time. Well, no, I'll tell a lie. First time I went abroad to see them was on the Time Machine tour. Me and a buddy went to see them in Boston at the TD Garden.
I was there.
Yeah, you're there.
I'm from Boston. Actually, I could look at the YouTube videos thing. I was wearing a weird hat that night, and I could see my hat bouncing.
Are you in the video when the guitar went down?
Yes,
is that the video you're talking about? Yeah,
We talked to Brad Maddox about that. He was the FOH guy, so you should listen to that episode. He talks about what happened that night with that.
Excellent. I will. I shall definitely do that. The Brad Maddox interview, superb. So but Clockwork Angels. Myself, and my wife went to Toronto for the first time in May 2012, and just at the end of our holiday is when they announced the tour, the Clockwork Angels tour for October that year. So on my last day or second last day, I went to the Air Canada Centre and bought my tickets for the 2 shows. And I just said to my wife, I'm coming back in October. So we went back and saw them in both the shows, and then I saw them in the UK 2 or 3 times, and I went to Holland to see them on that tour as well. So
There's your top 5. So if you were to pick one Rush song that was most meaningful to you, that was a representation of who you are as a Rush fan, what is that one song?
It would probably have to go. Oh no. I'm going to narrow it down to 2, but then I'll come to.
Well, it doesn't need to be from your favorite album. You've already
no. Well, it's the 2 that come to mind are Limelight and A Farewell to Kings. The track. Limelight. Just because of its arrangement. Again, I'm a music guy, so it'll always be music first to me.
It could be lyrically too. I mean,
exactly, but just music's always that's what's resonates with me all the time. But then the Limelight lyric, it's all about playing on the stage, so that relates to me as a musician. So I can easily relate to that. And as you probably know, Alex has referred to that solo as possibly his favourite.
It's great.
The Limelight solo, So again, it's to me just one of the most perfectly crafted songs, and I think that's one reason why Alex's solos are so amazing. Not only are they great in their own right, they're perfectly in context. The band will, like in Limelight, it builds up to it, and then the band just disappears as he starts to soar, and they come back in half time, and it just gives all this space around this beautiful solo. So Limelight is up there, and then A Farewell to Kings, the track, because of the variation, starting off in the classical guitar, and just when the band comes in, tingles up the spine just thinking about it. And then, in fact, that solo section is still a real bugger to try and get right if you try to cover it. If you're trying to play A Farewell to Kings, a song, that whole solo section is... I admit we tend to kind of jam it a little bit. We just have fun during that section, and it's a case of looking at each other. Right, are we all ready? Okay, let's try and finish it and get back into the song. We kind of milk it a little bit when we're doing some stuff like that. Where else? So going off track from your question, like when we do Working Man, we just jam the shit out of that as well. We just have fun with it. It's
sounds like Limelight is the one for you.
I think so. Yeah, for sure. It has to be up there.
That was Dan and I have had this conversation many times. So, Xanadu is Dan's favorite, and then of course Limelight. Between Limelight and Subdivisions for me were the 2. But I agree with you with Limelight. When my wife and I were married, we had Limelight. The opening riff to that as we entered into the
oh wow, fantastic.
It was good. It was actually quite good. It was wonderful.
Excellent. I actually played at a friend's wedding. Two Rush fan friends. They met through their love of Rush, and they got married in 2016. And I was playing. They had another band playing at night, but I was playing in the chapel. They got married in a castle in Scotland, which has its own chapel. And I was there with a classical guitar and just playing some pieces of music before they came in, and basically put a medley together of The Trees, the intro to Farewell to Kings, Brunsbane. So there's quite a lot of Rush fans in, that were their guests. So they were all sitting there, little smiles on their faces. I'm up the front trying to play this. So and I think they had Time Stand Still as their first dance. So
I bet you're hoping for a return of Rush Fest Scotland and the physical sense at some point. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's really what's needed, I think, at this
Oh,
point.
too right. We just can't wait to get back out again and But we tentatively penciled in May 21st and 22nd. It's actually gone to 2 nights now because we had one night was going to be an evening with Brune, Simon, Moon. It was going to be an evening where they're on stage having a chat and Jacob would do some music, and but it would be a whole evening of just conversation with Hugh and Terry on stage for the Friday night, and then our whole day on the Saturday. That's at the moment still penciled in for May 21 and 22, but as it's going now, I think that's not going to happen. So the choice has got to be: do we delay it for a few months, or do we just say, okay, let's just put it to the following year, May 2022. So yeah.
Well, keep in touch with us because as these things develop, this is a great opportunity for you to come on the show and just, even if it's for 15 or 20 minutes, just to say, hey, here's an update, just to get stuff out to you can use our podcast as a means to get your information out.
Oh, that's fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. That's great. Yeah, no, great. You're doing a great thing here, guys, and it's ongoing, and that's what everybody loves about it. It keeps it fresh as well.
I mean, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, we hope we're helping in some way.
Oh, for sure.
By trying to bring attention to what's going on with crew guys and that sort of thing. We hope that this is a constructive contribution.
Yeah, well, I think you'll know that yourself because the number. I mean, I think I first got in touch quite a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago, whatever. And even back then, you said it'll be January before we can talk to you. I know with everything, lots of other things going on, but to me that just showed you guys are, you're busy. You've got a lot of things Rush related to talk about, which is fantastic.
There's a lot to say. That's what I'm finding.
Exactly. It's like me with the music. Every time you listen to it, there's more.
People are not done with this band, and they're not going to be done with it. Maybe ever. I don't know.
No. Well, it's been part of my life, and I can't see it ever not being part of my life. You know what I mean? It's just there's so much great music there, and people like yourselves just keep it going.
Well, that's the great thing is that there's so much to pull from. The content, and it's just Rush is just rich with music, from lyrics to the compositions, and as it relates to Two Guys Talking Rush, how it impacts society, politics, and culture, and what people are doing based on their inspirations of Rush, starting Rush Fest, writing books, creating new music, graphic novels, poetry, whatever it is. We want to hear about that stuff on Two Guys Talking Rush. And I'll tell you, Dan and I have always said, if the show grows in size, and if we can, eventually get some sponsors, maybe get some funding and be able to travel a little bit, we'd love to do a live podcast from Scotland or from RushCon and those things. So
welcome anytime.
Oh yeah, we'd love that, man.
Just a small matter of the pandemic, and
we'll just get that out of the way. Yeah, let's get that out of the way. But obviously I'll keep you guys informed when it is happening again. We'll give you a shout, and if you guys can make it at all, it'd be great to have you in any capacity, even just as come along, enjoy yourselves, and we'll try and show you some sights of Scotland while you're here, and we'll throw you in a crew bus with Terry and Hugh and let you get on with it for a week. Yeah, lots of options available,
Awesome. So, hey, listen, Steve, thank you so much for coming on to Two Guys Talking Rush, and we wish you the best of luck with your projects, and of course, thank you so much for keeping Rush alive and well in your area of the world, and of course, it's connected to our area of the world, and I think that's what makes Rush so very special. Is that we're all connected by this one band and the power of their music. Where can you say that any other band has impacted so many and has kept so many people, aside from the Grateful Dead, I guess, in some other way, through the marijuana leaf and the hippie?
I don't think they're quite as big in Scotland. I don't think I could do a Grateful Dead fest. Although you never know.
We make a lot of comparisons between Rush and the Grateful Dead, more just in the sense of how extreme, I guess, the fan base is.
The biggest cult band in the planet, that sort of thing. Yeah.
You had people dropping out of life to follow this band to the ends of the earth, so.
True. Yeah.
Okay,
Very true. No, but thanks you guys.
To have jobs though, so. Yeah.
Well, Steve Brown, thank you so much for joining us on Two Guys Talking Rush. Take care of yourself.
John and Dan, thank you guys as well, and keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Dan, another wonderful episode, I must say.
Yes, another one in the books.
Another one in the books, and I got to say, I really love talking to Rush fans from other countries.
Yeah.
I guess
other than the accents, they're like us. They have the same stories. They came to the band the same way, and it's still paying off for all of them. So it's not about, it's not limited just to North America.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Steve's a really nice guy. I mean, just
totally. Yeah.
Totally. I could just probably sit around and smoke and drink and hang out and talk to him for hours.
We Hebrews would call him a mensch.
He is a mensch.
Yeah. He is a mensch. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, as Steve said, and as I promised, you can find the album Tribute Songs for Neil Volume 1, where all profits from the album go to Cancer Support Scotland, UK, and the Glioblastoma Foundation for Neil Peart Research, USA. You can buy the download CD or record at www.rushfestscotland.co UK. And well, thanks again, folks, for tuning into another impressive episode. I mean, we impress ourselves. That's it. It's not. Hopefully, you're impressed, folks. But I think the fact that Dan and I have been doing this for a while now, and we keep doing it, and I think it keeps getting better. I think Dan and I are impressing ourselves in some way. I'm impressed with you, Dan.
Yeah, we are. I think we are. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad someone is.
Well, thank you, folks. And my name is John Kane, and this is the
delightful Dan Buckspan.
And this is another episode of Two Guys Talking Rush. What can I say, folks? Rush rules.
Hey, get off your plebeian arse. Two Guys Talking Rush. Aye, come on then.
Two guys are talking, rush two guys. Two guys are talking, rush two guys are talking, rush two guys. Two guys are talking, rush two guys.
Live music inspires millions around the world, but the concerts we all enjoy wouldn't be possible without the countless crew members working behind the scenes. As COVID-19 puts concerts on pause, we want to extend a helping hand to the touring and venue crews who depend on shows to make a living. Crew Nation was created to do just that. Crew members are the backbone of the live music industry, and we hope you'll join us in supporting them through this temporary intermission until we can once again unite millions around the world through the power of live music. Crew Nation is powered by Music Forward Foundation, a charitable 501c3 organization that will be administering the fund. Live Nation has committed $10 million to Crew Nation, contributing an initial $5 million to the fund, then matching the next $5 million given by artists, fans, and employees dollar for dollar. Please support Crew Nation at www.livenationentertainment.com/Crew Nation.